I was in the back room of my butcher shop, the rhythmic thud of my cleaver slicing through a side of beef, filling the air, when Tanya walked in. Her honey blonde hair caught the dim light, but her smile was off-tight, rehearsed. I kept working my hands slick with blood as she leaned against the doorframe. "Dennis, honey." She started, her voice too sweet. "Mom and I were thinking of taking a little trip together. Florida, you know, to help Marlene with her stress. Vernon's blood pressure's been a mess." I glanced up my knife, pausing mid-cut. She was spinning her wedding ring, a nervous tick. I knew too well, her eyes dodging mine. "How long?" I asked, wiping sweat from my brow. "Just a week, maybe 10 days, she said, too casual. A cute resort in Clearwater. Mother-daughter time." Something clawed at my gut. Her words felt like a script she'd rehearsed. When I pressed, dropping the cleaver, to give her my full stare. "Next Monday, if that's okay. The resort had a cancellation, and Mom really needs it." Vernon's health issues were real, so I nodded. "Sure, babe. Have fun. I'll hold the fort." Her face lit up, relief washing over her as she kissed my cheek and hurried out. But as the door swung shut, that gnawing feeling deepened. That night, a dream jolted me awake, Tanya and Marlene under a blood-red sky, laughing at me with hollow eyes. I shook it off, but the unease lingered like a stain. The week they were gone passed in a blur of work custom orders, fixing the walk-in cooler. But the house felt like a tomb. The clock ticked like a heartbeat of doubt. Then a call from an unknown number, just heavy breathing, then silence sent a chill down my spine. When they returned that Sunday, I was sharpening knives in the garage when Vernon's truck rumbled in. Through the window, I saw him unload luggage while Tanya and Marlene whispered, their tans glowing, their postures tense like predators plotting. Tanya stepped inside. Her "Hey, stranger" forced her hug stiff as a board. "Florida was wonderful," she said, pulling away fast. Marlene hovered nervous, thanking me for the trip. Then it hit. "We should see a doctor tomorrow just to check for travel bugs." I frowned. "You both feeling okay?" "Oh, we're fine," Marlene chirped too quickly. "Just cautious." Tanya nodded like a puppet. Standard after trips. Bull. In 15 years, I dragged her to checkups she'd never cared. "What kind of doctor?" I asked. They exchanged a glance. "Just a regular physician. Blood work," Tanya said. Vernon backed them up, but his tone felt scripted. I offered to join. "They shot it down women's health stuff. You'd be bored." That lie sat heavy as I stood in the empty kitchen, replaying it all. That beach vacation wasn't what it seemed. The next morning, that gnawing in my gut had turned into a roar. I couldn't shake it. Call it butcher's intuition, honed from spotting bad meat, or a decade of business deals. Vernon swung by the shop around noon, which was odd. He never visited during rush hours unless it was urgent. He leaned on my counter, eyes troubled. "Dennis man to man? Don't you think it's strange the girls suddenly need a doctor? Marlene's never rushed to a clinic unless she's half dead." My hands paused over a chicken breast I'd been cleaving. "Yeah, it hit me too." "What are you thinking?" He rubbed his jaw, uneasy. Something about this trip felt off. Marlene was secretive before they left. Now this doctor bit. I set the knife down. "Want to drive over there just to check?" He nodded grimly. "Hoped you'd say that." We piled into his truck, both pretending we weren't suspecting our own wives. The clinic's parking lot was nearly deserted. Marlene's sedan sat alone. Vernon pointed. "There they are." We waited in the truck, but after 20 minutes, curiosity yanked us inside. The receptionist barely glanced up. Then we heard it, Dr. Brennan's voice, from an exam room, crisp and clinical. Considering the circumstances of conception, we'll need extra tests. Not every day we see a mother and daughter pregnant by the same man. Vernon stiffened beside me. My chest felt like it had been caved in by a sledgehammer. The nurse replied, "Same follow-up, for both," "Yes," Brennan said. "Given they're both pregnant by the same man, close monitoring's essential. Unusual case." Those words slammed into me like a freight train. Both pregnant, same man. My hands trembled. Vernon's face went ghost-white, horror pooling in his eyes. We locked gazes, knowing the same sick truth. The exam room door creaked open. Tanya stepped out first, Marlene behind her. They froze, spotting us. Dennis Tanya's voice was a whisper. "What are you doing here?" I rose, legs wobbly. "The question is, what the hell have you been doing?" Marlene looked ready to puke. Vernon stood, voice shaking with rage. "Both of you pregnant by the same man?" The silence was a guillotine drop. Tanya broke it with a laugh like shattering glass. "This is ridiculous, Dennis. You're jumping to conclusions." Marlene nodded frantically. "Doctors talk about all sorts." "You misheard?" Vernon stepped forward, face red. "Marlene, don't lie to me. We heard it clear. Dad, please." Tanya whined, tears fake as hell. "You're embarrassing us in a medical facility." I watched her spin her usual web deflect, deny twisted on us. It had worked before, but not now. "Tanya," I said, voice steel, "look me in the eye and say, you're not pregnant." She hesitated a split second tell. Vernon pounced. "Well, of course not," she snapped. "You men and your paranoia, just routine checkups." Marlene clung to her. "You're acting like conspiracy nuts." "I tested them." "Then you won't mind if I ask Dr. Brennan directly." They went rigid. "That's private," Tanya hissed. "So authorize it." Vernon shot back cold as ice. Marlene laughed nervously. "This is out of hand." "Prove it," Vernon demanded. "Tell Brennan to share your results." They exchanged a panicked look. "We don't have to prove anything," Tanya shrilled, grabbing her purse and bolting. Marlene trailed, fleeing like criminals. Vernon whispered, "They're lying." I nodded. "Question is, what do we do?" We drove back to my house in silence. The truck's hum drowned by the storm brewing in my head. Marlene's car was already in the driveway. They'd beaten us home. "Ready for this?" Vernon asked as we neared the door. "Been ready 15 years, I muttered. "Just didn't know it." Inside, we found them in the kitchen, hunched over the table like generals plotting a coup. Their faces hardened as we entered. Dennis Tanya said, voice icy, "You owe me an apology for that clinic fiasco." I pulled out a chair, sitting across from her. Vernon loomed, arms crossed. "The only thing I owe you is the truth," I said, calm but lethal. "Time you gave me some?" Marlene squirmed. "We told you the truth. You misheard." Did we? Vernon's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "Two pregnant women, same father." Tanya laughed, forced and brittle. "Dad, that's ridiculous. Even if it were true, which it's not, what makes you think it's us?" I leaned in, studying her face. "Because you ran, like your hair was on fire. Innocent people don't flee. We left because you embarrassed us." She fired back, making wild accusations publicly. "Prove us wrong," I said flatly. "Call Dr. Brennan. Authorize your results." Her jaw clenched. "I'm not. My medical info's private, even from you, when you're acting paranoid." Vernon slammed the table, jolting them. "Enough games, Marlene. Pregnant or not." Her lip trembled. "Vernon, don't shout. Answer." Tanya grabbed her mom's hand. "She doesn't have to." Marlene cut in, voice breaking. "Yes, I'm pregnant." Silence hit like a blackout. Vernon's color drained. "How far? 8 weeks?" She whispered, tears spilling. I turned to Tanya. Your turn. She glared pure venom. Go to hell, Dennis. Not an answer. I said, rising to grab my phone from the drawer. Fine. I'll call Brennan myself. You can't, she yelped. Patient confidentiality. Doesn't apply when it's my wife's condition, I said, dialing. Wait, she panicked. Yes, I'm pregnant too. Vernon collapsed into a chair, muttering, Jesus Christ. How long, I demanded. Since Florida, she admitted. Father. Her eyes flickered, guilt gone fast. None of your business. That hung like smoke from a burning house. None of my business. I repeated, voice a low growl. My wife's carrying another man's kid, and you say that... She lifted her chin. We're divorcing anyway. Who cares who the father is? When did we decide that I shot back? 6 months ago, she said coolly. Just hadn't told you. Vernon stared at her, a stranger. Tanya, what the hell happened to you? I grew up, she sneered. Realized this boring life wasn't for me. Marlene touched her hand. Sweetheart, maybe we shouldn't. Shouldn't what? Mom, tell the truth. They know we're pregnant. Might as well spill it. A chill stabbed my spine. What truth? Tanya's smile turned cruel. We didn't go to Florida. We went to Las Vegas to meet someone, Marcus Webb. He knows how to treat a woman unlike you losers. Vernon's hands shook. Who, Marlene? She avoided his gaze. Someone online. We've been talking for months. I felt disgust rise. Both of you. Same man? Tanya nodded. He's sophisticated, appreciates us. Vernon stood chair scraping. You're sick. Disgusting. Don't be a prude, Dad. Tanya mocked. It's the 21st century. What's his name? I demanded. Silence. Name, not important. Tanya said. It is to me, I growled. Who destroyed my marriage? She laughed bitterly. Your marriage was dead, Dennis. You just didn't see it. I leaned close, seeing the gold flecks in her eyes I once loved. Name. Now. Fear flickered. Marcus Webb, she whispered. He'll take care of us better than you ever did. I wasn't about to let Marcus Webb slink into the shadows. If he thought he could shatter 2 families and walk away unscathed, he was dead wrong. I'd built my shop on finishing what I started, and this bastard had ignited a war. Give me his number, I told Tanya, voice like gravel. She hugged herself, defensive. Why? Because I'm having a chat with him, I said. Dennis, don't do anything stupid, Marlene pleaded, wringing her hands. Vernon barked a bitter laugh. Stupid was trusting you two. I pulled out my phone, opening a new contact. Number. Now. Tanya rattled off the digits, reluctant as a cornered rat. I dialed, putting it on speaker. It rang 4 times before a smooth voice answered. This is Marcus. Marcus Webb. I asked, ice in my tone. Who's this Dennis Holbrook? I believe you know my wife Tanya. A long pause. Not sure what you mean. Cut the crap, I snapped. You got my wife pregnant. Her mother, too. We're discussing what you'll do about it. Another pause, then a chuckle, arrogant mocking. Look, buddy, wrong guy. Don't know any Tanya. I glanced at Tanya, pale as death. Really? She's right here, seems to know you well. Misunderstanding, he said, smug. The only misunderstanding I cut in is you thinking you can use my family and vanish. Where are you? His voice turned cold. None of your business. Everything about you is my business now. You made it personal. I'm hanging up. Don't call again. Hang up, I growled, but I'm finding you. When I do, we'll have a face-to-face about your mess. The line went dead. Vernon stared at the phone, stunned. He denied it. Tanya's face was sheet white. He's scared. Men get that way. Or I said slowly, he never planned to own up. Marlene burst into sobs. But he said he loved us. Said we'd be a family. He said what you wanted to hear, Vernon spat. You got played by a pro. My mind raced. Marcus underestimated me, a small-town butcher with connections. I called Jake, my tech-savvy buddy from the computer repair shop. Dennis Jake said, your boy Marcus Webb is a snake. Real name's Marcus Weber. History's ugly 3 paternity suits. Dropped when he bolted. Married to Sandra in Cincinnati, 8 years, 2 kids. Wife's clueless about his side gigs. Vernon listened, fury building. Serial predator, he growled. Tanya and Marlene sat mute, stunned. That can't be, Tanya mumbled. He said he was single. Probably a rental for his hunts, I said cold. Marlene cried. He seemed so genuine. That's their trick, Vernon said. Jake sent Marcus's address, work details, even Sandra's number. I decided. I'm driving to Cincinnati. Dennis, no. Tanya yelped. That's insane. What'll you do? Make sure his wife knows his game, and he learns actions have teeth. Vernon stood. I'm coming. Dad, please, Marlene begged. Let it go. This man wrecked us. Vernon cut her off. He faces the music. Tanya panicked. Think rationally. Cincinnati won't fix this. I studied her, the woman I'd loved, now, shielding her lover over our ruin. You're right, I said. It won't fix it, but it'll feel damn good. I grabbed my keys. Vernon followed. Where are you going? Tanya called. To talk to Sandra Weber, I said, not turning. She deserves the truth. The 3-hour drive to Cincinnati was grim silence, our wives likely plotting back home. Sandra's suburban house, colonial minivan, kids' toys loomed. Sure about this? Vernon asked. Dead sure. She needs to know. We rang the bell. A brunette with a toddler on her hip answered. Mrs. Weber, I'm Dennis Holbrook. Need to talk about your husband, Marcus. Her smile faded. Is he in trouble? Ma'am, can we come in? This'll take a minute. Inside, her older boy watched cartoons. I started carefully. Your husband's been with my wife and her mother. Color drained from her face. Impossible. He travels for work, but Vernon showed Jake's photos. Marcus with Tanya and Marlene in Vegas. Sandra's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, that's him. There's more, I said. Both are pregnant. They say he's the father. She broke down. I'm 8 months along with his third. He's out there starting others. Vernon leaned in. We're going to police. He'll face it. Good, she said steely. I'll testify. We spent an hour with Sandra sharing evidence planning. She called her divorce lawyer as we left. Driving home, the air felt lighter. Marcus's house of cards was crumbling. Think they learned? Vernon asked. Don't know, don't care, I said. Done saving the unsavable. At home, Tanya and Marlene waited tense. How'd it go? Tanya asked. His wife's divorcing him. She's with the police, I said. They paled. Police, Marlene whispered. Marcus Weber's a con artist bigamist. Felonies. You're witnesses. Tanya stood. We're not testifying. Disgust filled me. Even now, you protect him. He's my child's father, she said. He's a criminal, I shot back. You're an accessory. Vernon's disappointment hung heavy. Tanya grabbed her purse. I'm done with your judgment. Marlene followed. Where are you going? I called. Somewhere you can't judge me, she snapped. But I wasn't done. That night, I rallied Vernon and a crew of ex-military buddies' men who'd lost brothers to betrayal. We tracked Marcus to a Cincinnati dive bar. In a back alley, under flickering lights, we cornered him. Recognize me? I growled, my knife glinting. His smugness vanished as they pinned him. Please. A fist silenced him. You took my life, I said, pressing the blade to his finger. Now you lose something. With a swift cut, his ring finger dropped, blood pooling. He screamed. but we gagged him. Confess, I ordered. Shaking, he spilled affairs scams lies recorded on my phone. We handed him to the FBI finger in a bag as evidence. Marcus Weber's downfall was swift and brutal. 3 months after that Cincinnati alley, the FBI slammed him with federal charges, bigamy fraud, identity theft, and assault after we turned over the recording and his severed finger as evidence. Sandra's testimony sealed it. He got life without parole. In prison, word of his crimes spread former victims, and inmates with grudges made sure he suffered. Whispers reached me of beatings, shivs in the dark, his screams echoing off concrete walls. Justice raw and unrelenting. Tanya and Marlene didn't fare better. They fled to Atlanta, but the truth followed. Locals shunned them. Whispers of whores and traitors dogged their steps. When police caught up, they faced accessory charges. Their trial was a circus. The judge, a retired Marine, glared with disgust as they pleaded leniency. They got short sentences, 6 months each, but prison was hell. Inmates hearing of their betrayal turned on them. Marlene's hair was yanked out in clumps. Tanya's face bore bruises from a shiv's graze. They emerged broken, living in a run-down trailer scraping by as single moms while Marcus's promises evaporated. Back in Millfield, I was a new man. The divorce finalized, I sold the old house and opened a butcher shop on the east side, bigger and busier. Word of my story spread. Men flocked in, sharing their own tales of betrayal, turning my shop into a brotherhood hub. I hired 2 full-timers and eyed a second location. Getting rid of deadweight personal and business boosted my bottom line. Vernon sold his hardware store, moved to Florida, and rekindled with a high school flame whose husband had passed. Over our last coffee before he left, he grinned. Best part, I sleep through the night. No more wondering about Marlene's lies. I knew that peace, priceless. One evening, closing up, a woman slipped in just before I locked the door. Early 30s pretty, with honest eyes and calloused hands that spoke of hard work. Sorry, I know you're closing, she said. Need advice on smoking a brisket for my dad's birthday. We talked 20 minutes meat prep techniques. She was sharp, laughed at my quips. Leaving with her brisket and my number, I realized I was smiling. Rachel, she said her name was everything Tanya wasn't loyal real. We started building something true, but I wasn't done with the past. With Marcus locked away, I turned my rage into purpose. I founded a network to protect military families from predators, using my shop's profits to fund it. One night outside, I led a bonfire. Hundreds gathered as we burned a Marcus effigy, its flames licking the sky like a purge. Cheers rose a cathartic roar. Tanya and Marlene, I heard, tried contacting me from Atlanta begging for money. I ignored them. They'd made their bed. Peace settled in. Rachel and I planned a future, maybe a family. Standing by my shop's window, watching the town buzz, I felt the weight lift. Marcus was a ghost, Tanya and Marlene shadows. I'd torn down my old life and built something fiercer, stronger. Sometimes the best revenge is thriving where they failed.